8 billion people gather in one spot. On the count of 3, every single human jumps. The collective effort is massive. The goal is simple: nudge the Earth out of its orbit and change the destiny of the solar system. Now, let the jumping begin. First, there is the logistics problem. Fitting 8 billion people into one area requires a space roughly the size of Rhode Island. The crowd is incredibly dense. Breathing becomes a luxury. Some people are stepped on, others are accidentally crushed by the sheer mass of humanity. Then the signal sounds, everyone leaps. For a brief moment, 8 billion bodies are airborne. The Earth feels a slight push, or does it? Newton's third law dictates that every action has an equal and opposite reaction. As humans push off the ground, the Earth is pushed in the opposite direction. The physics are sound, however the scale is wrong. The mass of the human race is roughly 400 million tons. The mass of the Earth is 6 sextillion tons. The Earth moves by a distance smaller than the width of a single hydrogen atom. This movement is functionally zero. Once the jump ends, gravity pulls everyone back down. The Earth moves back to its original position. The net movement of the planet is exactly zero. The orbital trajectory remains completely undisturbed. The solar system doesn't even notice you tried. The orbit is safe, the planet is fine, but the physics of the jump itself are not. 8 billion people landing at the exact same time creates a different problem. The ground does not care about your orbital ambitions. The ground only cares about pressure. The simultaneous landing acts like a global hammer strike. A massive shockwave ripples through the crust. Seismic sensors worldwide spike instantly. The impact isn't enough to crack the planet, but it is enough to cause localized chaos. Buildings in the impact zone collapse. Roads buckle and shatter. The sound is the real nightmare. 8 billion pairs of shoes hitting the dirt at once creates a sonic boom of terrifying proportions. The noise level exceeds 200 decibels. Eardrums rupture across the entire crowd. The shockwave travels through the air and soil, knocking over everything in its path. People aren't worried about the Earth's orbit anymore. They are worried about the fact that they can no longer hear anything. The silence that follows is only broken by the sound of 8 billion people groaning in unison. Panic sets in. The Rhode Island-sized human cluster is now a sea of deaf, terrified people. This is where the real destruction starts. A crowd of this density is a fluid. Once the first person panics, a ripple effect begins. This is called crowd turbulence. A wave of pressure surges through the mass. People are pushed by forces they cannot control. The pressure becomes immense. Rib cages collapse. Oxygen vanishes as the crowd compresses further. The physical architecture of the city beneath the jumpers is vaporized by the weight. Sewage pipes burst. Electrical grids fail. The local environment is transformed into a wasteland of concrete dust and human desperation. Fire trucks cannot reach the center because there are 4 million people blocking every single street. Emergency services are paralyzed by the sheer scale of the event. The jump didn't move the planet, but it effectively deleted the state of Rhode Island from the map. The geopolitical consequences are immediate. The insurance claims alone would crash the global economy for a decade. The aftermath extends beyond the impact zone. Worldwide, governments struggle to understand why everyone gathered in one place just to jump. The lack of coordination in the evacuation leads to total gridlock. Supply chains vanish. Food stops moving because the truck drivers were all part of the jump. Global hunger spikes within a week. Meanwhile, the seismic event triggered minor tsunamis in nearby coastal regions. Small islands are swallowed by the sea. The atmospheric pressure change from 8 billion people leaping and landing simultaneously creates weird weather patterns. Strange winds howl across the Atlantic. The ozone layer is fine, but the social fabric is shredded. Religious cults emerge, claiming the jump was a failed attempt to ascend to a higher plane of existence. Scientists try to explain the physics, but nobody is listening. They are too busy trying to find their shoes in the rubble. The world is now a place where the primary cause of death is jumping-related trauma. We didn't shift the Earth by a millimeter, but we successfully broke the concept of a functioning society. The absurdity of the goal is finally matched by the absurdity of the result. We jumped for nothing. In the end, the Earth remains exactly where it was. The laws of physics are indifferent to human cooperation. The only tangible result is a global catastrophe caused by a very expensive mistake. However, there is a silver lining. The legal system takes over. Lawsuits flood the courts. The central question is no longer about planetary motion. The courts must now decide if jumping constitutes a breach of public order. The resulting legal precedent makes it illegal to jump in groups of more than 5. You survived the jump, you are deaf and your house is gone, but you can take comfort in one thing: you didn't actually move the Earth. The planet is still orbiting the sun. It just hates you a little bit more than it did before. What else should we break for science? Tell us in the comments. Subscribe to the What If Club for more ways to accidentally destroy everything. We will see you next time.